How goes the family? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully, you guys are having a great evening. Just a nice topic. Be real quick. The story of the good old minimum wage. Um, it's been talked about for a long time. People have been asking for the minimum wage, and some aspects I'm for it, some aspects I'm against it. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate in a sense. I don't think anyone should be forced to live below poverty. Let's just keep it real on that one. I definitely don't believe in that. But before I even go into my little research, I will say and give my personal perspective on the matter that I do believe in people getting skill, working hard to get skill sets, whether it's a degree, whether it's a license, whether it's a certification. Blue collar, you have very certifications that you can get from a blue collar and a white collar perspective. Whether you want to get your insurance license, IT certifications, whether you want to get certified as a financial professional, whether you want to get certified as an accountant, whether you want to get certified as a plumber, electrician, the list goes on and on. Mechanic. There's a lot of people that never go to college, but they study their butts off. They take what they call, in a sense, like a VOTEC classes and join a specific kind of school. CDL license. You got to go to you still have to go to school for that. You don't just take you don't just take the test and whatnot. You have to get the actual proper physical training. So there's a lot of skilled trades, and I always give respect to the states that actually have the skilled trades program. That's one thing I've noticed in parts of the South and in Pennsylvania, and I'm sure it's in other parts of the Midwest and whatnot, where I notice a lot of people, a lot of states and counties, took it upon themselves, and I'm sure they probably got funding from various sources, but they actually took it upon themselves to actually ensure that skilled trade classes were on the menu for people that are in high school, people just leaving high school. I remember in Berks County, Pennsylvania, probably not the best and most exciting place to live, but I will say with sincerity that in Berks County, Pennsylvania, they have a vote tech, as they call it, or special skills training school for kids in high school and for adults. So they teach the classes during the day for the high school kids, and they actually teach classes in the evenings and whatnot for adults who actually want to get certified skill sets and whatnot, because the county in itself, they actually want a robust workforce that actually know, because they know that regular quote unquote education is not going to cut it in a lot of areas. And then a lot of people just don't want to get a degree in something that's not going to really make them any money. They're going to go to school after high school. They want to make sure that, they're going to be walking into a job on some sort of level. You know what I'm saying? So, and I don't see anything wrong with that whatsoever. But sorry about that. I got to take care of my dog. But anyways, so that much I can respect, that much I actually get. But as far, because it still calls for raising the minimum wage, a lot of politicians have been calling for it. You have a new administration in the House, so there might be a bill that, gets introduced before Congress. You just never know. And it's interesting to say the least, because let me give you the perspective why I'm not for a minimum wage. All right. Because if you talk, and I remember having a history professor, business management professor talk about this. And I actually, I agreed with him, but someone disagreed with him. I think his argument was somewhat, flawed, but let's just call it what it is. Unless you're interested, if you're working at a fast food organization, unless you're looking to get into management, majority of the time working as a fast food worker is not meant for you to be forever, unless you're going to move up to management or move up to owning a franchise. Let's just call it what it is. Okay. My first job was at McDonald's at Potomac, right outside of Potomac Mills Mall. My first job was at McDonald's. Hated every moment of it, but it was my first job. But I knew as a teenager, because I was 16 years old at the time, it wasn't going to be forever. Okay. That it wasn't going to be forever. And most of the people I know that worked in those kind of fast food jobs, and I'm not knocking those kind of jobs, they knew it wasn't going to be forever. It's just like, we were teenagers. It's the only job we could get. We were getting paid minimum wage. There you have it. Okay. When I got a job as a janitor, I actually worked harder But with me being an introvert, it actually worked out better for me. Even though I worked harder and worked in more nastier environments and whatnot, that it was better for me because all I had to do was put my headphones on, and I was in, like you see me right now, my headphones, and I was cleaning. I was in the zone. I had to deal with customers like that, like you do in a fast food setting, and I got paid more. But I had to drive farther. I actually had to leave my county for the job. There's a difference. People don't get that. There's a difference. Like people that you see working in restaurants and whatnot. A lot of times, and if my whole thing is this, if you're going to be in the food industry, then make sure you're going to be in the part of the industry that makes the most money, from the chefs, from the chefs and from the waiters. I mean, let's just, or the, people that, if you're in the category of your hostess, or if you're a person that's a busser, if you're a part of that clique that you split the tips and whatnot, then yeah, that's where the money's at. Even though you get paid less than a minimum wage, but you have an opportunity to make more money because you tips and whatnot. That's why a lot of people are all about the sales business and things of that nature. Okay. But most minimum wage jobs are just not meant for people to work at full time for the rest of their lives. That's my perspective on it. I don't agree with people getting paid such a low wage to where they can't make ends meet, but I'm definitely not a fan of people that are in the business of working dead end jobs that are not meant for you to live off of for the rest of your life. It's like, once again, it's what are you doing on your off time and whatnot? And everybody's different. So I'm not going to try to lump everyone in one category. But, when I was coming up, we was watching, on our off time, watching BET or, MTV and whatnot. Now you got people that are just constantly on this on a regular basis. All right. But are you being productive when you're on that? Or are you just, shooting the breeze and, looking at everybody's posts and arguing with people about things that are not going to change anything about your life or their lives? Or are you just discussing things that have no real value in life and whatnot? That's really the point of the discussion tonight, because for a lot of businesses, they can handle raising the minimum wage. But, but the thing is, as a worker, most want the minimum wage raised. I'm all for that. But unfortunately, most people don't want to raise. They don't want to actually raise their aspirations and hopes and dreams, and they don't actually want to raise and level up. Let's put it like that. They don't want to level up in life when it comes to thinking outside of the box, when it comes to doing things outside of the box. They want their employer to do it for them. And let's just be realistic about it. At the end of the day, it's not your employer's responsibility for your outcome in life. A lot of times, the best, it's a gift and a curse, but the best part about the United States is, if you're about your business, you use your employer to live off of and as a tool to get to the next step and the next level in life. Just like use money. Money is supposed to be used as a tool. It's not just supposed to be something to buy crap that doesn't do anything for you after you buy it and whatnot. We use it for cryptocurrency. I use it for stocks. I use it for bonds. I use it for real estate. I use it towards my business. I use it to live. So there's a multitude of things that I use money for. It's used as a tool, and your job can be used as a tool as well. But your job is not meant for you forever and a day to take care of you. And, if you're not willing to try to help take yourself to the next level, then how do you really expect a job to take you to the next level? That's why I wanted to talk about this. Like I said, at the end of the day, I'm all about, prosperity. I'm all about prosperity and people going to the next level and things of that nature. But I'm definitely against people getting in the comfort zone, because a lot of times people who are working a minimum wage job full time forever and a day and not in the mood of trying to step their game up and whatnot. Like, for example, when I was working at McDonald's, I remember these two ladies. They were like 2 years older than me, so they were both 18 years old. They actually less than 6 months, they were actually taking the assistant manager's test and whatnot. And they became assistant managers at other McDonald's. They had to leave the McDonald's that I was actually working at. But there was something inside them to say, hey, I actually want to make more money. I don't want to make, I will accept the responsibility of me having to go to they call it like McDonald's University. And then having the responsibility of managing a shop, managing a McDonald's and things of that nature. So they took that responsibility. They took the incentive and took the extra edge. That doesn't mean they were making a lot of money. No, not really. However, they stepped their game up. And that's like, cause we're all responsible. We're all people. We have to step our game up no matter what the situation may be. You have a child, you got to step your game up in life. You get in a relationship, you got to step your game up in life. You get a job, you got to step your game up in life. So life is not meant for you to be in a comfort zone. There's people that I know in their 70s that are in college right now, that are running businesses right now, that are getting certifications, that are restarting a new life. Okay. That's really my point at the end of the day with this video, is that there are people that there's two kinds of people in the world. There's people that get in their comfort zone and don't want to complain about things that aren't going their way. And then there's people that actually, step up their game and, sink or swim. They're going to make a move and they're going to make things happen. I mean, I can go old school. I remember when Cat Williams was talking about, comedian Cat Williams was talking about, if you're going to be I'm not advocating for this, but he says, if you're going to be a drug dealer, be the best freaking drug dealer that you are. If you haven't if you're just still selling dime bags on the corner and 5 or 10 years has passed by and you haven't stepped your game up, then you're doing it all wrong. And that's just, that's how I look at it when it comes to anything in life. It's like if you're playing a sport and you really want to be good at it, you have to constantly practice. You can't just expect for everything to stay the same. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm all for, at the end of the day, like being a salesperson, you're living off of basic commissions, and you're living off of basic commissions. So you have to work your butt off in order for you to get the sale and whatnot. I kind of equate it to, people who get paid hourly. I have a job, who get paid hourly, but at the end of the day, what is your worth? What do you expect to be your worth? Do you want to be a minimum wage employee the rest of your life? Now, other states have done this and they haven't collapsed. Like I know California raised the minimum wage. Washington State raised the minimum wage. I believe Oregon raised the minimum wage. And they haven't completely collapsed. But, every state has their own issues. But they states like that took their own initiative to do that because that's a surprise. Arizona raised their minimum wage. Well, I look at it like it's not look at it like this. It's not a Democrat or Republican thing because Arizona is as red as they come. So but 20 states raised their minimum wages as of January 2021. That's a significant number. That is interesting. That is a significant number. So I'm going to actually go over the list. Right. This is actually great. This isn't a Republican or Democratic thing. This is good. This is about, what's considered right. Like I said, I'm on the fence in the middle of when it comes to this issue, but let's go over the list. Alaska actually raised their rates up to $10.19. In fact, let me just share the screen. Freaking. There you go. Let's do this the easy way. All right. Now, Alaska actually raised theirs up to $10.19. And now, as of January 1st, it's $10.34. So a lot of these places just increased it by $1 to 15 cents. So nothing too egregious. California is number one. So, but Arizona, I'm very surprised that Arizona and Alaska, but Arizona's at $12.15. Arkansas is at $11. I didn't even know this. This is actually interesting. California is at $14 an hour. So, but you're one of the most expensive states in the country, so it just makes sense. Colorado, $12.32 an hour. Illinois, $11. Maine, $12.15. That's another red state. Maryland, $11.75. Interesting. Massachusetts, $13.50. I can understand that. Michigan, surprisingly, $9. And Michigan's a cheap state to live in. That's why, it's considered a more affordable state to live in. So that's a surprise. Minnesota's $10. Missouri, $10.30. That's another surprise. That's another cheap state to live in. Montana, $8.75. That's you can buy acres of land in Montana for darn near nothing. New Jersey, $12. That's not a surprise. Expensive state. New Mexico, $10.50. I'm surprised because New Mexico is actually a cheap state to live in. Now, New York State, that's not a surprise. $12.50. Ohio, they even raised their minimum wage, $8.88. South Dakota, another cheap. Like I said, I'm surprised at the cheaper states to live in. It's like these are states where you can buy a home for $30 to $40-some thousand. It's normal for people to not have a mortgage living in these states. Vermont, $11. Okay, Bernie Sanders state. Washington State, $13.69. But yet again, I respect the states that did this. Nothing wrong with that. But yet again, most of these states so I'm going to call the states out that are very expensive. I already mentioned California, New York, Massachusetts, Maryland, New Jersey, all those in Washington State, very expensive states to live in. Okay. No matter what the situation may be, very expensive states to live in. So with those wages rising, even to that effect, that's like making $7 and some change in Texas, still because of the cost of living and whatnot. But like I said, I'm very surprised at the cheaper states that have jumped on board. So a lot of states have made their own leeway to do this, and red states and blue states, and it hasn't totally collapsed at the end of the day. So I get that and I respect that. Let me take the share screen off. Let me just, boom. Yeah, so I get that and I respect that at the end of the day. My only point is, even in those situations, so if you're making, let's go back. If you're making $14 an hour in California, does that mean you're supposed to stay at that job forever? I think not. Okay, even in Arizona, if you're making $12.15 working at a fast food joint, unless you if you want to stay in that kind of industry the rest of your life, then just step your game up and become a manager. I remember when I was working at Babies R Us, I told the story the other night about, the other day about a young lady who loved working there, and she got into the management field because she loved actually working in retail. She loved working around children, so it just made sense. I got another friend that's a manager at a cell phone store. Perfect personality, great people person. So some people, that's actually their niche, but just step your game up, become a manager, maybe get into a regional manager, maybe get to a point where you actually franchise your own store. It's like, if you're going to do something, do it right, go all in or not at all, but the fact that you think you're going to just have the days of just having a dead end job, when, especially with the pandemic, people have had more time on their hands to study something. I put a post out on social media today talking about that, because it's like, if you don't step your game up in life, no matter what the situation may be, then why should you be rewarded? I'm just going to call it like it is. And here's the quote: if you don't come out of this quarantine with a new skill, your side hustle started, more knowledge, then that means you never lacked time, you lacked discipline. And I will say, you not only lack discipline, you lack motivation. Even myself, I've had to learn how to take more time away from being on social media. I've had to be like, okay, I don't need to waste my time with that. Okay. But I commend these states that have done this. But once again, even making $11 an hour in Illinois, as long as you're away from Chicago, that's considered, it's a cheap state for the most part. But yet and still, even if you're living in the backwoods of Illinois, do you really think making $11 an hour is sustainable? And I can't answer that question for you because, like I said, that's a personal question. Is that sustainable for the rest of your life? Do you not want to step your game up? Because a lot of times, there's always going to be rich, middle class, and poor people in the United States. Excuse me. There's always going to be rich, middle class, and poor people in the United States. But the aspect of, if you not only work hard enough, but you get enough investments, savings, and spending power and borrowing power, enough, then that, puts you in a different category. Like I said, there's blue collar people, white collar people that make a boatload of money. And if you love, like I said, I know a lot of truck drivers who make a lot of bank, especially the ones that own their own rigs. A lot of them used to be in the minimum the minimum wage category, but they stepped their game up. That's the thing. It's like, unless if you're going to be minimum wage the rest of your life, then you're going to be like certain people that have to have like 10 or 15 people living up in one spot, the rest of their lives. Now I think that, according to the Economic Policy Institute, and I agree with this, I think the minimum wage might be raised to $15 by 2025, and that's only 4 years away. But let's put this in perspective, family. Okay, if you're making $15 in 2025, $15 in 2019 wasn't a lot of money an hour. Even if you lived in the backwoods of Michigan or Mississippi, $15 wasn't a lot of is not a lot of money now, and it's not going to be a lot of money in 20. It's going to be considered less. It might be considered $9 an hour by 2025. I'm not an economist, but I'm just going off of basic inflation. Okay, basic inflation. All right, and I get that a lot of states, which, like I said, I was very surprised at the red states because they try to be as business friendly as possible, but they probably worked out a deal to where they raise like sales taxes somewhere, some way, somehow, so that people to make up the difference for the employers and things of that nature, and so have it, so be it. But at the end of the day, my 2 cents on this subject matter is I foresee the minimum wage being raised. In some instances I'm for it, some instances I'm against it. But at the end of the day, it is everybody's responsibility, including my own, to get as much knowledge as we can if we want to raise our wage up. Okay, it's in everyone's best interest to, and I say this, it's in everyone's best interest to work hard so we can get our own wages up and whatnot and make ourselves more valuable of a commodity, whether it's in a business or with a job, for one specific reason. And I said this before, and I will say it again. Elon Musk is considered to be the richest man. He surpassed Jeff Bezos. They got the race going on, but this was like a month or two ago. And he said, and I quote, "Well, back to work." So all I'm saying is, if a billionaire is saying back to work and it's constantly on their grind, but they don't really have to be because they got generations of amount of money and assets to where their children's children don't have to work, but they're still saying back to work. What does that tell you about your everyday average working person? That's all I got to say about that. What does that say about your everyday average working person? Well, instead of me saying back to work, I'm going back to Netflix. If instead of me saying back to work, I'm going back to Instagram. That is my point at the end of the day when it comes to this topic in regards to people. Most people want to raise the minimum wage, but they don't want to raise their basically step their game up and whatnot when it comes to their life and what they do and how they contribute things and whatnot. Because most people who are considered 6-figure employers and whatnot, that didn't just happen overnight. Whether they got a college education, whether they started a successful business, whether they got a certification or whatnot, they worked their butts off to get to that level. So nobody should just be given that level just of quote unquote success, because 6 figures is not even cutting it like that in the United States anymore, unless you have multitude of assets, coming from multiple areas. But if those people have to work their way to get to that specific level, then why should just everyday average working Joe that just wants to be basic? Because like a lot of people get comfortable being basic, and we saw the pandemic kind of put a clamped on that. It was like, okay, well, you're out of a job, so you have to live off of unemployment. We'll see what happens. We don't know how long you're going to be on unemployment, but we'll see what happens with this. Okay, so if you want, my mindset has always been, and hey, I'm a working person too, not just because I have my side businesses and whatnot. I'm a working person too. I've always been about trying to be able to figure out ways not only raise my income, but to raise my skill set so I can be a much more of a marketable person. Okay. So it's the same thing goes for people who are in the minimum wage category. It's not meant to be forever for you to be at that job unless you're willing to climb the ladder. People in corporate America don't start off making 6 figures an hour, but they have to work to climb that ladder. People in government agencies don't start off making the high, figures, but they have to work to climb that ladder from education and experiences, and a lot of times with connections, because nepotism, no matter what the situation, it's very big anywhere in any freaking industry. Okay. And that's just what it is. There's nothing wrong with people getting a hookup. Okay. Anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. Excuse me. But at the end of the day, that's my point. Okay. You want to raise the minimum wage? then you got to step your game up. Because if you want to wait around for Uncle Sam or a corporation, instead of you, it will happen much faster when you take action. That's all I can say on that one. Things happen a little bit faster when people get off their butts, and I've been guilty of this myself, and take action. Okay. If I want to sell a property from a wholesale perspective, I got to take action. I got to do the cold calling, the text messaging, the post on social media. I got to drive for dollars. I got to get it going. If I want to sell my products online, I got to put the ads out there. Not my friends on social media are not going to be the only ones that are going to see my stuff. People that I don't know must see this. Okay. If I want people to join my Gold Standard Partners network, I got to talk to people. I got to let them know what the deal is. If they're interested, then fine. But that the onus is on me. And the same thing goes for anybody in a minimum wage category. The onus is on you to want to step your game up. A lot of people will join the military, or they join a law enforcement agency, or, they become a firefighter or paramedics and things of that nature. They work in the school systems. They step their game up, to step outside of their comfort zone. But that's what it is. No one can grow unless they step outside of the comfort zone. That's why the military grooms a lot of great people once they go in service. That's why people in law enforcement agencies, people in corporate America and whatnot, because these people had to go out of the comfort zone. Okay. And then they get handsomely rewarded for going outside of the comfort zone. But if you think you're going to, and I'm not knocking fast food workers, because I used to be one. That's what I'm getting at. I used to be a fast food worker. But if I thought at 16 years old that I was going to be serving food and from a window and things of that nature, and behind the counter for the rest of my life, and I didn't have the mindset of wanting to own something to that effect or manage something to that effect, then I would be considered a loser at my age right now, especially in my family. So I can't speak for others, but I'm just saying. There's people that come to the United States all the time. They can barely speak English, but they make things happen and a lot of times they might be in a minimum wage capacity, but because they use resources to put money together with their family members, they're able to not only buy real estate, but a lot of times they end up purchasing their own franchise, or end up purchasing a business or something to that effect. But constantly working, constantly on the grind because they're trying to get theirs. And that's why I said that's the kind of energy I like to have around me. So the basic energy, you can keep that away. I've been around that enough. But yeah, that's the kind of energy people should have no matter what the situation is. But if you want to stay in a minimum wage capacity, then it doesn't behoove you to complain about not getting a raise. It's like, did you work for it, or did you just do the same old every single day? Did you step your game up? Did you get educated into something? Did you figure out how to do something else? I remember working at a job, and I think I told this story before, but there was a janitor at my previous job. And now he was taking night classes, and now he works in the maintenance department where he does the painting, little electrical repair and things of that nature. He replaces drywall, things of that nature. So he stepped his game up. He went from making $13 an hour to now he makes $26 an hour. He works harder, but he stepped his game up. Somebody believed in him, was like, okay, well, we'll get you into the internship program, paid internship program, but you got to be the one that has to take the classes at night. He did that, and then boom. So that's one of those success stories that you can. Heck, when I first got out of high school, I started off as a janitor. Like let's call it what it is, cleaning up after nasty people. So hard work pays off. But it's all about getting more and more educated every single day. And that's why I read and listen to podcasts every single day so I can educate myself. But hard work. And if you're watching right now, please hit the like button, subscribe if you've not subscribed to the YouTube channel and the Facebook page. It's always greatly appreciated. The hard work always pays off for those who actually want to put some energy into it. Is it going to pay out the way that you want it to? No, but usually things don't work out the way you want to, but they do happen eventually once you continuously push forward and keep it, and have a lot of tenacity and just continue to move forward and whatnot. And that's when I say make money moves and live broke like a fool, because if you're not making moves and if you don't start anything, then yeah, essentially you will be broke like a fool, and you will be unfortunately protesting, begging somebody for a higher wage. And at the end of the day, the most logical person is like, well, what are you doing outside of, the norm? You know, it's like the people that used to work in the factories, the ones that were able to, like back, 20, 30 years ago, the most prosperous ones who left the factory, the ones that got certified trades, because they loved being blue collar workers. They loved working on cars and anything. I mean, the ones that got hit the hardest were the ones that were working in the plants where, food was made. Places like steel mills, places like that. But that was a generation ago. So we're in 2021. It's like, if you're going to be blue collar, then you got to be certified blue collar. You can't just be assembly line blue collar. It just doesn't work like that anymore. Okay. Because you can literally teach, get kicked out of a job because you're not, it's like you're not essentially learning anything new that's going to be beneficial. Because my blue collar workers, they were keeping the country strong, especially in the beginning and during the whole freaking pandemic. So my hat goes off to them. Round of applause on that one. Okay, real talk, because that is the backbone of the United States of America. But like I said, the people working in the fast food capacity, and even, I mean, heck, even with the pandemic, a lot of those places had to shut down, So even in that instance, I actually hope that a lot of those people, took the actual extra money that they were getting from, especially in the beginning, that extra boost that they were getting in unemployment. I hope they really took that, to heart. Like, hey, I'm getting some extra money, do some saving, do some investing. It's not a big secret that more and more people have gotten interested in the stock market than ever before now. Stock market and cryptocurrency. And I love every single moment of it. And I commend everybody that's doing their thing, learning and earning, and just continuously to move forward and whatnot. So at the end of the day, nothing but a round of applause goes out to all my blue collar workers, all my white collar workers, all my people that are about stepping their game up. Okay, I've seen people start off in the fast food or as a janitor, landscaper, and then a lot of times they end up owning their own cleaning company or their own food service and things of that nature. They end up owning their own, restaurant in some instances. So a round of applause goes out to everybody on that one. Okay, on mechanic shop. I remember great example. I remember going to high school with a guy. He was very intelligent. And he actually had a full ride to go to George Mason University, but he actually wanted to become a master mechanic, and he actually went to actual school within the state of Ohio, and he actually lives on the outskirts of Cleveland, Ohio, and he owns his own shop now, because he wanted to step his game up. He was working in Walmart, now he has his own shop. So it's just all about stepping your game up and thinking outside of the box, family, and being around people that do the same thing. Because the one thing I've learned coming up, you can't share your dreams and happiness with everybody, because if somebody's always going to bring a negative connotation to the conversation, leave them alone. Even if they're family, leave them alone. Don't tell them anything about your dreams, because some people are just dead inside and they bring that death on the outside on a regular basis. People don't realize that. But the dream killers, don't even try to. The one thing I've learned is, do not try to convince people of your dream, because especially if they're in their comfort zone and they're not moving, they're not budging, they're staying exactly where they're at. When you're, it's like, it goes back to, the old days where, the son had to leave the town or the village and whatnot and see the world and get exposed to the world and get some world experience and things of that nature. But you have some people, and that growing up in Woodbridge, I've seen plenty of that, trust me, to where a lot of people, even when they left Woodbridge, they didn't leave mentally. Even when they left Woodbridge, there was no growth. Okay. As far as Woodbridge, Virginia. And a lot of people, they might grow in age, but they're not growing mentally. They're not growing spiritually, and they're definitely not growing financially. All right. So do the great these free things, family. Like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully you guys have a great day. Check out the online store. It's always greatly appreciated. When people purchase products from the store, it's always appreciated. Interested in joining the Gold Standard Partners? Descriptions in the you can see my link in the description. It's free. If you're a Bitcoin investor like myself, it's for you. If not, then it's all good. But it's just another opportunity to not only buy Bitcoin, for others to do the same thing. You can make money off of when they purchase Bitcoin and they purchase specific packages as an affiliate if they want to. But hey, on that note, family, enjoy life, dream big, be happy, don't stress less, and do the best that you can in this life, because that's all that matters at the end of the day. All right. Sorry for the delay coming on, but it's been busy and it's about to get busier. So, but it's all good. I welcome the challenge. I accept the challenge, and it's all good. Big things are coming our way. All right, not just my way, but your way all at the same time. All right, family. So you got to believe that in your spirit. If you're in a minimum wage capacity right now, that's cool. Just don't let it be forever. Because nothing lasts forever. Not even life. All right. So take care, family. I will see y'all later.